10 Things I Hate About You from the year 1999, starring Heath Ledger, Julia Stiles, and some other people. Let's look at real quick, the cast list. We got Julia Stiles, Heath Ledger, like I said, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and those are the main people that I recognize in today's acting climate. But although Joseph Gordon-Levitt, you don't see, he was in a lot. He's in a lot of stuff, but I can't really think of something super recent. Like the most recent thing I can think of him in is like The Dark Knight Rises, and obviously Heath Ledger was his last role. It's explained why he's not in stuff anymore. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. But what a role to go out on is the Joker in The Dark Knight. But he was great in this movie. I actually really like this movie. It's such like a time capsule of this time period, and it's a little bit by the numbers for romantic comedy, sure, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoy this movie. Let's look at the Rotten Tomatoes page, the score. So 71% and 69% audience. So the critics gave it 71. That's pretty good. And honestly, relatively fair. I think it's a good movie. It's actually really funny, and that's the main thing that romantic comedies need, in my opinion. It's okay if you're a little bit by the numbers in some ways. Try to be a little bit, different, but it's okay if it's a little bit by the numbers, as long as the jokes are funny and consistently funny. And this one is. So that's a good thing about this movie. 69% audience score, so it's pretty close, both of them. 6.3 out of 10 is the average. I found out recently if you click on the scores, it gives you the average of what the critics gave the movie out of 10. So it goes down a little bit if you go by the average of what they gave. 71% just means that 71% of the reviews are positive. But I guess it was a 6.3 average rating and a 3.2 out of 5 average rating for the audience. But I agree with those percentages. It's a fun movie. It's a fun little rom-com. But let's read some of the reviews. In terms of Shakespearean scholarship, because this is based on Taming of the Shrew, which I'm not familiar with really. This movie is the only reason I know that at all. But in terms of Shakespearean scholarship, 10 Things directed with more energy than style by Gil Junger may be but a footnote, but when they write the teen flick book, this goes to the front of the class. I think he's right. Like, this is sort of a classic now, and you can see why. Like, there's some bits that maybe didn't age well, and I'll talk about some of that. But it's from 1999. It's well over 20 years, almost 25 years old now. So obviously there's going to be some stuff that didn't age well, but it's still like a solid story, funny jokes, characters you care about, good performances, things that you want, when you're watching a movie. 10 Things has trouble being one thing. It's neither Shakespeare nor John Hughes, but falls into the fizzy middle ground. Boo. Boo, I say to that. They're wrong. This is a good movie. Smartly written, lofted into orbit by a heads-up ensemble performance. It's bursting with new talent on both sides of the camera. I agree with that one. Let's read another bad review. What 10 Things I Hate About You could have used, besides the less contrived title, is more laughs. They say teen title and teen laughs. I don't think those words are necessary to describe that, but I felt it was, so okay. But yeah, basically, I'll say the plot. I was almost sounding like Foghorn Leghorn there for a second. But 10 Things I Hate About You, the basic plot, if you're not familiar, there is a girl called Bianca, and there's a girl called Kat, and they're sisters, and their dad is strict and will not let them date. But he comes up with a rule because the older daughter, Kat, doesn't seem to want to date, and the younger daughter does. To prevent this from happening, but still seeming like a reasonable parent, he says, well, if Kat doesn't go out, then you don't go out. But if Kat goes out, then you can go out. So, obviously, there's this whole thing with him trying to convince and try to get Kat to date. There's all these boys trying to go out with Bianca. So, they try to get Heath Ledger. They pay Heath Ledger, or this rich, handsome, but kind of skeezy guy pays Heath Ledger to go out with Kat so he can go out with Bianca. That's the basic plot. There's more like details to it, but that's the basic gist of it. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well tonight. Let's keep on moving on with the review, and by that, let's go on to the IMDb page. 7.3 out of 10. So that seems to be the sort of consensus. It's like 7, 6.9, 73 kind of percentage, give or take. And yeah, I might even go a little higher. We'll see when I get to the rating. We'll see how I feel when we get there. But that's sort of how I feel right now. I kind of agree with these ratings. It's a good movie. It deserves this somewhat high IMDb score and Rotten Tomatoes score, in my opinion. But let's look at the cast. So we already said Heath Ledger, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Julia Stiles, and Daryl Mitchell. This is someone I wanted to click on because he was so good, and I didn't know him from anything else. He was a teacher, one of the teachers in this movie, and he was so funny. He was probably my favorite teacher. And I can't think of what else he has been in. He's in Galaxy Quest, of course. I love that movie. I know exactly who he is in it, too. That's cool. Inside Man, I've never seen that, but I've heard of it. And California, which I think I've seen, but I don't really remember it, and I don't really remember him in it. But, yeah, that guy was really good. I feel like he should have a better career. He was in a show. Oh, he's in a new show, Fear the Walking Dead. He's in a spin-off of The Walking Dead, so he's doing okay. It looks like he was in a lot of TV shows and stuff, so he had a good career still. He's just one of those actors that didn't reach A-list, and that's not the worst thing that can happen to somebody, really. But I really liked him, is my point. And Larry Miller is in it. He's in so much stuff. He's the principal in Max Keeble's Big Move. He's the villain. He often plays the antagonist or the villain. He sort of is in this, but not really. The villain's more so Andrew Keegan playing Joey, the skeezy bad boy. He's more of the bad guy, but he's the stern father figure, though, so, he has some elements of being an antagonist. But no, he's in that movie, Max Keeble's Big Move. He's in Dunstan Checks In. He's in Chairman of the Board. He's in a lot of, really what people consider to be kind of bad comedies, but he's never bad. He's, the perfect role, or the perfect guy for these roles, I think. I love Larry Miller. He's so good. Let's look at the box office information. I think this did great. It's a classic, and I think it did well at the box office as well. I mean, sometimes classics, this didn't really do that well. That's surprising to me. I mean, it didn't do terrible. It made money still, but not as much as I would have thought. $30 million budget with a $53 million gross. I think it's one of those, though, that sort of built over time and became a classic, kind of, over the years. Because, yeah, people love this. And I was talking to someone that sort of maybe want to put this on the list and watch it again. Because I was talking to someone I was like, what's a movie you really like? Or what's your favorite movie? And they said this movie. And I was like, you know what? I haven't seen it for a while, but I always liked it. And I went back and, I get it. It's not the worst pick ever for a favorite movie. It's fun. It's entertaining. I mean, you got a sexy young Heath Ledger. I mean, what's not to like? What's not to like there? He was a hunk. But yeah, rest in peace, Heath Ledger. That's one of the sad. He was 28. So sad. But anyway, that is the IMDb, and that is the Rotten Tomatoes. So now, let's look at me notes on the movie. Woo! One thing at a time. Waking up with this Mountain Dew spark. Wow, wow, wow. Alright. Just grabbing my notepad. Okay. Let's see here. Come on. 10 things I hate about you. Feels like the late 90s immediately. They come in with those sort of early 90s, or late 90s I should say in this case. But anyway, 90s sort of feel opening credits that are like drawn on the screen, and it right away it's just like boom, I've been transported to a different time, and I like that. Because sometimes movies age, and this one does in some negative ways, but I think this mainly ages in a good way. Like it's a nostalgic feel for people that long for a simpler time. This movie might appeal to. 1 Week by Bare Naked Ladies plays. And this comes to my next note, which is these two notes sort of coincide together. 1 Week, great song, love it. Good way to start the movie. But it's not on the soundtrack. I have the soundtrack, and I like the soundtrack, but they don't include a lot of the songs. Not only do they not include this song, but they also don't include 1 Week, but they also don't include they have by Joan Jett, Bad Reputation. And I wonder if the reason they didn't include it on this soundtrack is because it was also on the Shrek soundtrack. And I don't know if it was even the same studio or what. But I just thought that it was... I wish that they had the songs, all the songs from the movie. I guess there's so many songs, maybe they couldn't put them all on the CD. But I have the CD. There's like 14 tracks. They could have fit a few more tracks on it. They could have done it. They could have fit those 2 more on at least, I think. But that being said, I still do really like the soundtrack of what's on it. But they didn't pick some of the bangers like Bad Reputation and 1 Week. That would have been cool to have. And those were songs that were like right at the beginning of the movie. So I would have liked to see them on the soundtrack. But that's okay. My next note is Izods. I don't understand what Izods are. It said at one point, and I googled it, and I still don't know what Izods means. And I just googled it again now. Like, what is it? The Izod Corporation. It's a clothing company. So Izods is like, he was saying something about his Izods, but I don't like what kind of clothing. Anyway, I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but I had never heard that word before, and I thought it was crazy. My next note is, I like how they handle the teachers swearing, because in a lot of movies they do this where the teachers, and TV shows too, where the teachers and the principals, the faculty, whatever, they swear a lot. And, you know, being someone who's gone to high school and gone to school, that's not really my experience, that teachers don't do that. And they do that in this movie, but they explain it like just well enough for me to sort of suspend my disbelief and be in this sort of world. Because Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he starts off as he's been transferred to the school. That's how we meet his character. And he's talking to the guidance counselor, I think the guidance counselor, and she's really good. And right off the bat, you can tell that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is shocked that she's swearing and stuff. And he's like, what? You just said that word? And she's like, yeah, get back to class, whatever. So we sort of, at that point, at least for me, I sort of accept that that's just how this school is. The teachers bend the rules maybe a little more in this school. And that, for me, sort of suspended my disbelief and made me okay with that fact. That's something that I'm usually a little bugged by in movies, but that little piece of dialogue made it okay for me anyway. Moving on. Students help principal write erotic novel. Yeah, I like this. This is funny. They have the guidance. I think it's the guidance counselor again. She's tight. I would have liked more of her, actually. She's only in like the beginning of the movie, and then she's not in much of the rest of the movie. But she's really funny. the guidance counselor. But yeah, she's typing on her keyboard. She's writing like an erotic novel, and we see what she's writing, and then the students will say something, and then she'll put that into the novel. And I thought that was a funny touch, and it was handled well. The R word is used. So yes, like I said, this is one of the things that didn't age great. This movie, like I said, is from 1999. And they use the R word. I'm going to say it once, because some people, when you say the R word, they're like, what word is that? They say retard, and, you know, it's something, for anyone my age or older, you know that word was said a lot more than it is now, and it's something that it's just the way it is. So if you can just sort of look at the movie through the lens and time that it was made, maybe, you know, don't try not to be offended by watching that. But, you know, that didn't age well, but it is from the 90s. So I'll forgive it. Anyway, me personally. Cool that Cameron's friend cares so much. Yeah, I love this character. Again, maybe could have used a little more screen time, but I think he has just enough. Like, he's not the main character, right? Of course. He's got to have a little less screen time. But he's the friend of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He was really good. And he's just so, like, nice to Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He clearly cares, but even though they just meet, their characters meet for the first time in the movie, and he immediately just, like, takes him under his wing, and they become, like, best friends, and he's willing to do so much to help him, and he just seems like a nice guy. And I love characters like that, and I hate when they have a character like that, and then they just sort of shit on them for the movie, and they don't do that in this movie. They treat him with respect, and he deserves respect, because he's nice, so I like that. They treat the nice guy nice, and I like that. We're gonna keep moving on with the notes here. Whoa, what's up, folks? It's D Jesus, Mountain Dew Spark. You say I have a can next to me. Yeah, oh, you have the same kind of the raspberry lemonade? These nuts. That's right, baby. Yeah, I went back to it after reviewing it. I must have liked it. Oh. Get smart. Ah. Alright. But yeah, let me know if anyone's in the Discord and wants to talk about this movie with me. I should probably be in here just in case. That's okay. But, moving on, more notes on here. Heath should explain that that he doesn't want to get with Kat because she's drunk. And yeah, this is one part that I thought was a little weird. Because there's a part where, yes, Heath's been paid to date Kat so that Joey and maybe Joseph Gordon-Levitt can go out with Bianca. But Kat doesn't know this. And yeah, Heath, like, at a certain point, he's dropping off Kat at home, and Kat's been really drunk the whole night. And she wants to, you know, hook up and kiss Heath, but Heath, respectfully, and this is what I think happens, they don't say, there's not enough dialogue in this scene, is my problem, but Heath is then like, maybe not tonight, maybe we shouldn't do this tonight, and to me, that means you're drunk, let's do this later. But then Kat gets so mad about it, and she's like, ugh, and Heath doesn't even explain it. Like, well, if he would have said, like, just because you're drunk, you know, we should still get together. But she's so mad, and I don't think that fight is justifiable on Kat's side. Of course, it's justifiable later when she's mad at him for getting paid to go out with her. That one makes sense. But I was just like, why is she's so mad at him for being like a gentleman? But anyway, maybe that's just me. You know, he's being respectful. Oh, the white Jamaican stuff is my next note. Another thing that didn't really age all that well, but at the same time, they do make fun of it in this, so it's not that bad. But yeah, there's these the Rastas, right? Who they all wear like dreadlocks, and they're all white, and they all smoke weeds. And, you know, they're all talking Jamaican accents, so some of that hasn't really aged well, obviously, but it works well enough for the movie, and like I said, they make fun of those characters and like call them out a little bit, so I think that makes it more tolerable and not so bad. And definitely, this movie's from the 90s that have aged a lot worse than this, but I just felt like it was necessary to point out these moments. Mr. Morgan is good. I already said that, but yeah, he was like my favorite side character. I like the teacher. He had some very funny moments. And like I said, he's in like nothing else, but he's in Galaxy Quest. So now that's what I'll think of if I ever see him in other stuff. That he's in this, 10 Things I Hate About You, and of course, Galaxy Quest, the classic. But no, he was great. Bianca don't care about the guy she wounds. So this is maybe my biggest complaint about the whole film. That Bianca just isn't a good person. And yeah, she learns that Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the right choice and the right guy, but they still establish that she's sort of a dumb and sort of pretentious person that doesn't really care about anyone but herself. And the reason I say this is one scene and one scene only. It's when Joey is talking to Bianca and she's in gym class and she's doing the bow and arrow and she accidentally launches an arrow and hits the gym teacher, and then she doesn't talk about it. She doesn't go and help him. She just continues talking to Joey. And to me, like, I get it's played for laughs, but like it actually happened in this universe, in this movie. And so if that actually happened, then she's not a good person. There should be consequences or something too. Like, it doesn't make sense, that part. I need things like that to be explained, for me anyway. And yeah, and at the end you're supposed to be super happy when she gets together with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character deserves it, but I think he deserves someone better. I think Bianca sucks. That's my hot take on this movie. They work in Shakespearean dialogue. And this is something I didn't notice when I watched this years ago, but that's because I don't think I linked it that much to Shakespeare. But they really do put a lot of stuff about Shakespeare in this movie, and it makes sense because it's, they're using the basic plot line of one of his plays, so it makes sense to have some homages in there. My next note: would he be mad about Kat flashing him? So this is another scene that I was like, I don't know if this would go down like this in real life, but Kat flashes a teacher to get Heath Ledger out of detention so he can sneak out while the teacher's distracted by her flashing. But yeah, so many questions. Like, they frame it as she's trying to pitch this as like a plan for the soccer team to win, is to, like, by flashing the other team, and so she's like demonstrating that. But, and I guess you could also argue that they're playing it off as the teacher is so shocked that he doesn't know what to do. So maybe if you go that route, it sort of makes sense. But I still think the shock would wear off and he would eventually be like, oh, well, we should give her some consequences because you can't go showing your fucking tits off in the middle of class. But I don't know. At least that's what I thought. Knowing our society as much as I do, I feel like that's what would happen. But it's just fine, and they just get to skip detention, and everything's fine. So, yeah, it didn't make sense to me at all. But, moving on. Bianca doesn't know what a hot rod is. So, yeah, this is something that doesn't make sense to me because, yeah, I get it. Bianca's supposed to be dumb, but she's supposed to still know about this kind of stuff. Because a hot rod is like what the people drive around in, and she's supposed to be like the rich, hot, popular girl. So you think she'd know what a fucking hot rod is? So that didn't make any sense to me. I guess she's supposed to be dumb, but that dumb, really? Yeah, I didn't get that. Cam looks weird after his friend falls down. So yeah, this is just some direction I thought was a little weird, because Joey punches out Cameron's friend. Cameron is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. And then we show we see Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he's like sort of face the direction of which his friend fell down, and you think that like he'd be helping him up, but he doesn't help him up, and he's sort of just like standing sort of weirdly, and his arms are moving kind of weird, and you could argue that maybe he's distracted because Joey's talking to him right now, but I still think that it just looks a little weird the way he's standing there. That's my note. It looks a little weird. Whoa, THC edible, Wilbrex, what's up? I can be a hot popular girl. That's all we've all ever wanted. Okay, so what we're gonna do right now, because that's the last one of those 50 milligram THC edibles. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it off the list right now, because I can't do any more after this one, because like I said, it's the last one. So let's take it off the list. Bada boom, bada bang. And I'm gonna grab the last one. Let's go. And we're out of the taffy, but also, how's it going, Will? What's up? Welcome. It's been a minute. Hope you're doing well, but yeah. Let's be hot popular girls and let's eat 50 milligram THC edibles. This is the last one. And it's like, sort of like a hard candy thing. There's some weird stuff stuck to the bottom. Let's just get that off there. There we go. Oh, that's big. Oh, it's big. Let me tell you now. Woo. All right. I have one more note on this movie, and then we gotta do another movie. Let's wash it down with that Mountain Dew raspberry lemonade flavor Mountain Dew Spark. Come on. Movie reviews. I'm gonna get that girl. That's my girl. That's Heather. The girl in my corner. You know what I'm talking about. There's also Stacy. I'm surrounded by girls. Maybe I'm being greedy. I don't care. Anyway. Let's go. So my last note is good blooper reel. Not a bad blooper reel. Not a bad blooper reel. I like this one. At the end of the movie, there's some parts of it that felt a little weird because they're just showing like the full take, and there's like the music isn't put in. So there's parts like where people are like dancing at the party, and there's no music, and it looks a little weird. But it's the blooper reel, so we forgive it. But I thought that was kind of noteworthy. And yeah, I like the blooper reel. I like this movie. It's sort of a classic now. Let's wrap up the review. I really enjoyed this. You got young, sexy Heath Ledger. You got younger, but still, let's say handsome, because he's so young. I feel weird about calling him hot. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And then you got Julia Stiles, and you got the Heath Ledger. Did I already say that? Maybe. But anyway, the movie's really good. It's actually funny all the way through. It's an adaptation of Taming of the Shrew by Shakespeare, which again, I don't know that story at all other than this movie. So I kind of know it because of this movie. But yeah, it's sort of a classic, and you can see why. One of the best rom-coms. I really enjoyed this movie. And I'd seen it before, but I hadn't seen it for a really long time, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So, let's give it, honestly, let's give it 7.9. I feel like not quite 8, but it's good. It's really good, and I'd highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's on Disney Plus, at least for me here in Canada, or Canada, if you will. But 10 Things I Hate About You, 7.9 out of 10 dogs.